Good morning. Good morning. And it's a very, very special morning this morning. I mean, it seems to be there's a lot of anniversaries at the moment. Not only is it our 5th anniversary this year, but also it was a very, very special anniversary. Last Sunday marked the anniversary of the Queen's reign. She actually reigned on Sunday and marked 70 years. She actually exceeded the reign of Queen Victoria. So Queen Elizabeth II reigned on Sunday over 70 years. And it's absolutely fantastic because we are delighted, Pete and I are absolutely delighted to welcome the Queen. The Queen is our special guest in our Pinhole Quilting showroom. Fantastic. Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolutely special honour, as you can imagine. I have to do my little curtsy that I used to practice when I did ballet. And we're delighted to be able to show you some of our long arm machines. And it's not often that you get a monarch in your own showroom, obviously. And it's an incredible honour. So I think everybody will be as surprised as we are to have seen Her Majesty coming through the door, particularly since she's very, very busy.
She's had a very busy week, so she's asked not to contribute in person.
No.
But is happy to make the guest appearance.
That's right. Obviously, she's not done a lot of long arming, and she's been asking quite a lot of questions. So we thought we would give the kind of overview that a lot of our customers have been asking us questions. So when someone comes for a demonstration, Her Majesty has been asking the kind of questions that a lot of our customers have asked. So some very good questions. I mean, the kind of questions that only somebody who's asked a lot of questions, and some very astute questions, I have to say. Very, very smart lady. So thank you, Your Majesty. I think with no further ado, we will proceed with the rest of our demonstration. And we are live. So let's go. I'm not flustered at all. I'm not flustered at all. It's just such an honour, such an honour. Of course, Pete and I have actually been to Buckingham Palace. Yes, I'm sure some of you have too. It was a Buckingham Palace garden party we went to, wasn't it, Pete? It was Pete's invitation. I was just the +1. Not a bad +1. It was quite a few years ago, wasn't it, Pete? But,
yes.
It was nice. Nice. Yeah, went through, front door, straight out the back, into the garden. Lovely gardens, aren't they? And we had our...
Fantastic. It lived up to every expectation, didn't it?
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, it had the posh frock. And we had beautiful weather, actually, didn't we, Pete? In fact, it was really hot. Mm-hmm. But it was because Pete was involved in... it was the Prince's Trust, wasn't it?
That's right.
So that was really good. Anyway, we are live, presumably.
We are live, yes. We have lots of people with us as usual. I can see Lindsay from Switzerland.
Fantastic.
Di Bell.
Great.
Maya Dyer. MK is on this morning. Morning, MK.
Good morning, MK.
We've got Joyce from the States as well. Helen Burnham. Nice to see you in the showroom again this week, Helen.
Yes.
You can't stay away, can you?
Hello, Helen. Absolutely fantastic to see you. And lovely to meet Kate.
And Maggie. Spoken to Maggie this morning. I've just delivered her Moxie to her on Friday.
Yes, fantastic. Congratulations, Maggie. I'm sure you're absolutely champing at the bit even more now as a result of that conversation. So, yeah, brilliant. A new Handy Quilter owner. Welcome to Handy Quilter. And we look forward to seeing you at the classes, the foundation workshops. You're coming in March. So look forward to seeing you then. Absolutely brilliant. So with no further ado, let's crack on to what the main focus of today's Facebook Live is. But one of the things that I mentioned in the email newsletter that went out this morning is the fact that we've got some second user machines. And rather like Her Majesty, just to my left, there are some absolute classics in our stable. The Avanti. I've got 2 of our pre-loved machines just here as a result of upgrades that happened fairly recently. And these have both been serviced. One was serviced a year ago and one was serviced by Pete just this last week. So we've got this 2010 Avanti. Oh, I was playing with this earlier. And this 2010 Avanti, it's fairly lightly used considering it's actually nearly 12 years old. It's only got 6.5 million stitches. So if you're interested in either of these two Avantis, I'll just do a quick demonstration on it, Pete.
Yes.
Because what always impresses us when we do the servicing on the Avanti, now this is an 18-inch throat space machine, and this is the original Avanti. There were some changes made in 2014. So this is the original Avanti. But what Pete has done with this machine is he's upgraded the lighting. So we've got, you upgraded the lighting on this one, haven't you?
I have, yes.
Yeah. And he's also put the newer tracks. When this was originally produced, it actually had different wheels, but these have been upgraded. So they're actually the same as the ones that were shipped up until recently.
Yeah. So this is now the same precision glide carriage that you get with new handy quilter machines.
Yeah.
So it runs really beautifully smoothly.
It does. Yeah, these are the nicer wheels than some of the people who might have the same age of machine. They might have the original wheels, which actually ran on, it had metal wheels and a white plastic track. Anyway, this is the newer one. And you did something else, I think, on this, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway, it says it on the website. And we provide a 2-year warranty. The thing that we recognize is that when you buy a machine of this age, it's really important to have some reassurance that you're buying something that we're going to stand by. So Pete and I discussed this, and we know so much about these machines now that we feel that we can provide the same kind of warranty that many manufacturers provide for new. It's a 2-year warranty. So if you've got any issues with that, in that 2 years, that's electrical, electronic, and mechanical warranty, we're going to stand by these machines. So come along, have a test drive of these machines. These machines, the Avantis in particular, 18-inch throat space, so that means that you can quilt the kind of blocks size, that typical block size, 12 up to 14-inch pretty much, that you can do on these machines, is great for domestic and professional quilters. Many of our customers love their Avantis so much that they struggle, some of them struggle, to actually move on to a different machine. So much so that, for example, we have a customer who has an Avanti and Pro Stitcher set up and is in the process of upgrading to an Infinity with Pro Stitcher. And when she was advertising through us her Avanti, there were some of the customers that she was talking to when she was originally selling it who said, I'm not sure she wants to sell it. I mean, she was so in two minds as to whether she wants to sell it because she just had such trouble-free use of it for so many years. And that's the kind of machine it is. So here we go. This is the Avanti.
It's a very smooth machine.
Beautiful.
And very quiet. You can't obviously tell that on the film, but these machines are now run in. We consider that handy quilter machines are only really properly running once they've done 3 million stitches or so. So this one's done 6.5 million, and the other one that Liz will show you in a moment has done fewer than that, less than 5 million stitches.
It just sews so beautifully. There's something about the way that these machines are made, that the parts just sort of seem to fit together so well. The customer I was just talking about, her machine has done 30 million stitches. This has done 6.5. So 2 of these are available. One's 2014, one's 2010. They're priced with brand new Studio 2 frames, 10 or 12 foot, that can be set up to an 8 foot if you don't have the space. And that includes installation within 100 miles of our showroom. So if you're interested in these are great machines. Please contact us as soon as possible. They will not stay around for very long. We had a third one and it sold earlier this week.
Yes, and Val, unfortunately, we don't have a second user Pro Stitcher available. We did have one this week, but the customer who came and bought the third second user Avanti that we had also bought the second user Pro Stitcher that was available this week before we'd even listed it.
Absolutely. That's the kind of speed that things go in this kind of area. And I know that people might have expressed interest before, but literally as soon as these things come, if someone's here, they can just go. So, right, Now, what we really wanted to show you, and I think actually, Pete, I'm tempted to show 2 examples of this. We're going to talk about movable machines. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Now, as I was explaining to Her Majesty when she first came in about movable and stationary machines, which I thought I'd repeat for everybody on Facebook Live, is that when we go to shows, what you tend to see is a quilt. You see a quilt on a frame. What you don't see always is how it all works. And sometimes I think people need to know. I certainly did. I just saw this machine moving like I've just demonstrated. You think, how is that working? So it's stitch regulated. What does that mean? And when someone says encoder, that sounds very technical. And we have a lovely customer up in the Northeast, and she talked about the wheelie thing instead of the carriage, and the machiney thing. And we have, we have these non-technical phrases that we like to use because sometimes we use technical phrases that scare people. So I think we should break it down into what it actually is doing underneath the covers so that we can understand. So I'm going to show it you on this Avanti first, and then I'm going to show you the equivalent on an Amara because they're slightly different in how they look, just a little different. So what we have is the machine on this carriage, and the machine has these 4 black wheels. There's 2 at the front here and there's 2 at the back there, and they're on this aluminium carriage. Okay, so the machine is pushed forward and back on this carriage. Now, for those who are a little bit technical, I'm pushing this away from me and towards me. So this is going to be measuring how fast and how slowly I'm doing this. And the way it's doing it is done on this side here. This little black box here has got a little rubberized wheel. So as I'm moving it, this little rubberized wheel is physically moving. And that physical movement is being translated into a digital signal. And it's taking that digital signal through this cable into the machine. And that digital information is telling the machine to slow down or speed up, to keep pace, and translate it to stitches per inch to keep it consistent. So that's doing it in that direction. And Pete, if we go around the back, I think it's wide enough here, we can do this. If we go around the back, we're going to have a look, and you're going to see that back here, this carriage has also got a little rubberized wheel in the back here. If you just move this cable aside, you'll see the same little rubberized wheel is going from side to side on this black track. It's doing the same thing all the way the length of the frame. So both of those directions are being measured. And so therefore, every time you move this machine, circular, backwards, and forwards, and side to side, that physical movement is being translated into a digital signal, and on this flat cable, it's being taken into the information in the machine as a digital signal. What's called an encoder. That's the technical bit. It's called an encoder. It's encoding or translating the information from physical to a digital signal. And when someone says encoder, you kind of get a bit scared because that sounds technical. But that's just about as technical as it gets. It's taking physical information, digitizing it, telling the machine, and it's giving you stitches per inch. That's it. That's how you get a stitch regulated machine.
And that stitch regulation system is the same on all the Handy Quilter movable machines from the Moxie up to the Infinity. Yeah. It works in exactly the same way. It's a mechanical system. Yeah. It works flawlessly. There are no delays, there are no lags in the system.
That's right.
It's a really effective stitch regulation system.
I think as Pete said, it's flawless, it's immediate, it's a very, the whole system is just, as soon as you do that, you get the result. And that's why we love that feeling of working on these machines, because it's just so immediate. And when you come to a show, you'll feel it. You know, if someone has pressed this, there's a start-stop button on the handlebars. As soon as you press that start, and if you're in precision, stitch regulated, you'll have a go on these machines and you'll go, oh wow. That's, as soon as you get that information, that machine is moved, it starts. So that's on the Avanti. Now on the Amara, we've got one just here. It's the same principle, but it's just slightly upgraded with a slightly different look.
Looks very similar.
Very similar, but it's just, instead of a grey flat cable, it's been modernized to a black flat, black circular cable. And we've got this plugged in at the back here. And on the Amara, we've just got this black wheel here. And this just plugs in with this black, thinner, round cable.
And as Jennifer points out, it's actually the same system on her old HQ16 original machine. So the fundamental system hasn't really changed because it works so well.
Yeah, perfect. So that hopefully will give everybody who's watching this, and hopefully if you're watching it on catch up, will give an insight to those people who kind of wondered how the magic happens. You know, how does stitch regulation happen on the frame systems for Handy Quilter? Well, that's how it works. So next, what we want to show you is the difference between what we call these frame systems with movable machines on them, why we're not calling them stand-up. We did used to call them stand-up machines, and we called things like the Sweet 16 sit-down. We're not calling them that anymore because that definition is really not accurate, and let's show you why. So
that's
Pete's going to walk this way.
Because you are physically moving the machine to make the stitch.
Just going to move the Queen so she can see what's going on. Okay, now we had Her Majesty have a little sit down on these saddle stools earlier, and yeah, we've got a range of our saddle stools, and this is the reason why we don't talk about sit down and stand up machines, because instead of sitting down at a stationary machine and standing up at a frame machine, you can, and I'm just going to use this as an example. I come up on this one. If I were to be quilting at this frame here, this is one of our saddle stools. This is in grey. I might find it easier to do my micro quilting at this frame system. Oh, there's a light back there. Excuse me, Your Majesty. I'll just move you out of the way. Let me just move this. And the other thing that you should never do, which I'd just done, was put a coffee cup on a frame.
So tempting to put things on the table section at the back of your frame.
You know,
you will live to regret it.
Every class. And I'm not going to name any names, Abigail. Right. So it happens to us all. This is a saddle stool with a foot ring. It's a really high quality one. We're really, really happy with the supplier on this, because this has got a 12-inch stem. And the reason that this suits many of our customers is, I mean, I'm relatively short. I'm actually shorter than the Queen, who's 5'4". And if you put your feet flat on the floor at the lowest point, that's going to be comfortable for moving around, okay? But then when you put your feet on the foot ring, you can then elevate the saddle stool to its highest point. So at the highest point, I can see the screen really easily, and then I can go down for getting comfortable. For doing micro quilting on the Amara, I've got some really nice, convenient micro quilting handles, which I can adjust. I can pull these down, out, in, and I can do my micro quilting. I can adjust this. It's got adjustments also. I've got a back support here if I wish. I've also got a tilt, and I can get this up and down, get it into my lumbar support as I need. Now what this means is basically that I'm not having to stand at the frame. So it's not a sit-down frame, it's not a stand-up frame, it's whatever I want it to be. I can stand at it, I can sit down at it on my saddle stool, it's whatever I need. The angle that I can look at this now is perfect for doing micro quilting. I can rest my arms, this is actually a different configuration in terms of the rails, but on the Studio 2 frame, I can actually rest my hands on the rail and I can just move this around as I wish. Perfect.
Liz, just to answer a question from MK. No, MK, the box on the side there, difficult to see on the camera, but that's just the box for the electromagnetic channel locks that we have on this machine. So it's just attached with Velcro onto the side of the machine.
Yeah, there we go. That's locked it in that direction. And that's locked it in the wire.
It looks like a USB hub that's attached. That's what was confusing.
Oh yeah, I see you've been doing some things with hubs and pens and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that's how. There we go. So that's the Amara using the saddle stool so that I can get conveniently sitting down there with my saddle stool. That's in grey. We've got the backrest with the saddle stool in blue, or denim, like a denim colour. And we also do this one, which is, so this is there's the Hackett, there's the Flyford, and
the Livery.
Have a look at our website. What we found, by the way, in terms of advice on these, I really recommend that if you come to our foundation workshops, that while you're here, if ever you think in the future about having a saddle stool, you try them while you're at the showroom, because there is no substitute for actually having a go on these. Pete and I mean, I like them all, of course I would, but actually my preference for long-term sitting on these is this one, because I find that when I'm doing free motion quilting, I can lean on this one and go at different angles, whereas this one I find is better for using with Pro Stitcher when I tend to be sort of sitting and doing stuff and then the machine moves around. I find this one is better for free motion quilting.
And that's my preference for long-term use as well.
Yeah.
Question from Sandra in the Netherlands. I don't know the answer to this, Sandra, what the weight limit is for these saddle stools.
It's really high.
I will look it up afterwards, or I can find out from the supplier and I'll post and let you know.
Yeah.
But they are very good
They're weighted
quality.
really high.
They are very, the biggest customer of the supplier that supplies these in the UK is the National Health Service, because they're used in a lot of hospitals and doctors' surgeries and etc.
Exactly. As Pete said, they're used by the NHS, and so they're used a lot by clinicians in daily use. This one, I tend to use this one for when we're doing when I'm doing technical repair work, doing the servicing on the machines, and I use it for when I'm doing the sit downs.
Yes, because
it doesn't have the footrest, so it's better for that, and I find it's lovely for the sit downs.
That one's also not available with a backrest.
No foot ring, no backrest. But one of our Simply 16, now upgraded to Amara customers, has got it and she loves it. She used it at the Quilts for Care Leavers event extensively, and she absolutely loved it. So you just have to try them. But yeah, the way that it fits into your back, and the fact that you can actually get this adjusted. So it goes up and down, depending on your back length, which is always critical. And then that adjusts depending on how you want that. And then you've also got this that tilts. So there's just so many different adjustments. I mean, I think when people come into the showroom, I can help them to sort of determine whether it would suit them. That's the other reason for coming in. Okay, so that's saddle stools, and you can use them for frame quilting.
So as Di Bell says, she's in this area, they're used a lot by dentists as well.
Of course. Yeah, that's a really good point. Dentists, hairdressers, anybody who needs to be sitting comfortably and making sure their posture's right. I found them absolutely invaluable, because for your neck, it's just...
Yeah. So Jenny James says that her saddle stool is so good that Steve has borrowed it to play his guitar.
To play which guitar, Jenny?
But Glenys likes the one without the backrest with her Sweet 16. It's such a personal choice.
So personal.
And people do ask us for recommendations because it's not easy always to come to the showroom.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing because it's quite a personal choice.
We can't possibly say. And we wouldn't want to send out the wrong one. So please come along.
So what the names of them are, that's the Hackett, I'm fairly sure.
Okay, the Flyfoot.
The Flyfoot is the one that Liz is sitting on, which is more like a saddle.
Yeah, and the Livery.
And this one on the right is the Livery.
Yeah.
Double check the pictures on the website.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just thinking, because Jenny's made that comment, that I wanted to mention, thank you so much, Jenny, for sending in to us, physically sending in to us, the manual for the beautiful 30-inch vintage long arm, which had the little tip for how you work out whether you've got right or left-handed twist. Actually, I'm going to talk about that next week because we've got so much to talk about this week. I'm going to talk about twist, and I wanted to reference some of the thread that we've got because I need to do some background on that. And I'm going to demonstrate it with a really large cord rope that I've got at home, and I didn't bring it with me. There you go. That's because we were out at the cricket dinner last night and I didn't bring it. Right, so there you go. Now we're going to look at stationary machines. So what do we mean by stationary machines? By stationary machines, we mean things like the Sweet 16 and the Capri, where we have a table and we have the machine fixed in the table. And with the stationary machines, you might think with stationary machines that you have to sit down, but you don't. You can stand up. So here we've got the Capri. This is a Capri. It's the latest stationary machine from Handy Quilter, and it came out just as COVID hit, March 2020, and it's an 18-inch throat space. So imagine an Avanti, but it's a stationary machine. So Capri 18-inch with this fantastic motor on it, so it's really fast, and it's got stitch regulation through, instead of encoders that measure physical with like a little rubber wheel, this has got two magic eyes. I think Pete's gone to bring Her Majesty over to have a look. Oh, he is. That's nice. We can't afford to have her miss out. So while he's bringing her around, one of the things that we have in conjunction with, obviously with doing our stationary machine quilting, there's various options for doing machine quilting. I used to use these a lot, the Machingas, the gloves, and I know there's different gloves that you can get. I used to love these. I still do to a certain extent, but my preference now is the Sweet Spots, which look like this. Okay, you get two of those in the packet. Or for bigger quilts, the paddles. I don't actually attach those little knob things on it that screw into the top, because I think my hands wouldn't really appreciate that. I just lay my hands on top. So for bigger quilts, I find those are really good. And I keep all these accessories in the drawer that you can get. Optionally, you can get a drawer for this insight table. And you can also get tables. So this is the original table size, to which you can then add a table to the left, a table to the right, or why not have both? Particularly since we've got a 10% discount until the end of February on the table for both the Insight table and the original Sweet 16 and Pfaff table. They're the same, by the way, the original table. So if you've got a Pfaff Powerquilter 16, you can also use the original.
Just to show you the height difference here, here's a Sweet 16
Oh, yeah.
that's set up for a sit-down height. And here's Liz standing up at this. The height is adjustable, of course.
Absolutely.
To your comfort.
Yeah. So I found this sample, and do you know, this was quilted by Debbie Brown. This is a sample that I found. I thought, wow, where did this come from? Debbie Brown did this. Debbie Brown, Handy Quilter educator, extraordinaire, fantastic lady. So she came over and did some teaching with us back years ago, and did some really good teaching, really inspiring person, actually. I really like the way she teaches. Very empowering. So here we've got the Capri. it is a stitch regulated machine. I'm just going to show you those things that when Pete was getting Her Majesty, I wanted to just show you this. So this is the insight table insert that fits for the Capri around the free arm. And it has two magic eyes here and here. So these two magic eyes measure how fast you're moving the fabric. So when I'm moving it around...
There are two magic eyes behind you as well, Liz.
Oh, yes. There we go. I used to practice my curtsies in ballet.
Somebody says, your sample needs binding. Who could that be?
Oh, I need to talk to you. Hi, Carolyn. How's that gorgeous little puppy? So the two magic eyes measure how fast you're moving the fabric. So this is what the machine is measuring, is the movement. So on my screen here, you'll see it's got, so Capri, it says home, settings and information. I've got manual and I've got regulated and I've got needle up, needle down. So it's going to stop in the down position. Hope you can see that. And I'm in regulated, but I've actually got it in cruise. So that means it's going to stitch even when I'm stationary. So I'm going to do needle down, needle up, pull up the bobbin thread. You'll see I've got like a grey or light thread. So probably not what I'd choose if I was stitching on black normally. So I've just done some locking stitches by holding down the green needle down button. I need to get my paddle, Pete. Sorry. Okay, now, instead of using the foot pedal, because I'm standing, I'm not going to put my foot on this and do the standing on one leg stalk flamingo routine. I'm going to use the play button on my screen. I'm just going to reduce that a little bit, actually. I'm going to go down to 200. So this is how many stitches it's going to sew even when I'm pausing. This gives me a little bit of smoothness to my stitches. And then it's going to do 11 stitches per inch. Okay? So when I press play, it's going to start sewing. And then it just slows down when I slow down. Speeds up when I speed up. And it does 11 stitches per inch. Matches what I'm doing, and I'm not having to go one-footed, one-legged. And then I just press stop, and it stops. Stitch regulated sewing, standing up.
No foot pedal.
No foot pedal. What did I say? There. There we go. Ta-da.
So yes, Liz is operating here in cruise, which means the needle is still moving when she pauses. So it's 11 stitches to the inch, and it's going at 200 stitches per minute when she pauses.
Go. That's my little bit of play.
And personally, as somebody who's not used a sit-down sewing machine for much of my life, I actually find it much easier to use this machine without the foot pedal than with the foot pedal, just by moving the fabric.
Yep. I really like doing it like that, standing up. I find it much more relaxing. My shoulders are down, the fabric moves more easily. I mean, for starters, the insight table is extremely smooth surface. And even, you see, the reason I picked this particular sample, I'd got a very small sample, and I thought, everyone's going to go, well, you never do a quilt that's that big. So I went and found a bigger piece that I could show that, you know, a decent size. So that is stand-up stationary quilting. There we go.
So Glenys, you would use exactly the same settings that you would use when standing as you would when sitting. It's whatever suits the project that you're working on, really.
Yeah.
There aren't any particular settings you need just because you are standing rather than sitting.
No, no, no.
So because you can use a frame-based machine, a movable machine, either sitting or standing, and a sit-down machine, a stationary machine, either sitting or standing, is why we don't call them sit-downs and stand-ups. Although you might occasionally find us lapsing into the old terminology.
Yeah.
We now call them stationary machines because the machine stays still and you move the fabric, or movable machines because you're moving the machine over the fabric.
Exactly. Okay, other things that we wanted to tell you about, the Pro Stitcher Lite the tablet is on its way. We should have it, it's imminent, its arrival is imminent. I shall be having a look at the manual and all the information because I'm very excited that it's coming. And the prices start from $5,250 for the Moxie Pro Stitcher Lite. And so as soon as we've got it, we'll be demonstrating it to you. It's a great price. That includes the tablet, includes the software. So, you know, I think it's going to be something that some of our Moxie customers are really going to be interested in.
Yep.
We've got these second user machines. While we were over by the saddle stools, we've got two Simply 16s. We've got a Moxie that a customer is selling over in Cambridgeshire. We have a Pfaff Powerquilter down in Kent. And we can discuss with you some extended warranty on that. So, you know, there's lots of options. You don't have to just look at the new options. We've got some really fantastic options for you on second user machines. There is a brand new website that will be launching very soon, later in March, that will show you those second user options that you'll be able to look at as well.
So Helen, for Pro Stitcher Lite, have a look at there's a dedicated website.
ProStitcher.com.
At ProStitcher.com, which tells you all about the Pro Stitcher Lite machine as well.
Yeah.
So just clarifying the pricing, the price in the UK will be £5,250, as Liz said.
Yep.
If you've got an existing Moxie, then that's the price,
yes,
including delivery. And includes the tablet, etc. The only add-on is if you currently have a Simply 16 on a Littlefoot frame and you want to convert it to use the Simply for Pro Stitcher Lite, it needs a different carriage system, so you need an upgrade kit, which is another £300, I believe.
Yeah.
But essentially the price is £5,250.
That's it. Okay, the other thing is that we've got some great deals. We've got 10% off the Cindy Needham Stencils and the books that we produce for those. So that deal will be on until the end of February. So go ahead and look at our website at handyquilter.co.uk for those discounts. That's 10% off Cindy Needham. So if you just click into the search bar on handyquilter.co.uk, put in Cindy, you'll find all the Cindy products. And when you add it to your basket, the discount will be applied. So it's a great time to look at the Cindy products. It's the kind of thing that we will be using later in the year in some of the classes. So it's a good time to buy. Anything else, Pete? No, I think that's it. I think we've given you lots of information, and hopefully Her Majesty the Queen has also felt that we've given you lots of information, and hopefully she's a little bit more aware of the kind of quilting industry, Handy Quilter, and the kind of products that we produce here at Pinhole Quilting. So thank you very much yet again for joining us. We hope that you've enjoyed it today, both live, and if you're watching this on catch up, we hope you found it both interesting, educational, and that you'll join us next week when we'll have yet more information, and some of the things that we'll be teaching you and hopefully enlightening you about will be about thread, and we've got lots of other things, and hopefully that Handy Quilter Pro Stitcher Lite will have arrived. So we'll see you then. Take care, have a great week, and happy quilting. Bye now.